Many scholars assume any domestication of camels in antiquity before the 12th century BCE to be anachronistic, a chronological misplacement of events, and therefore conclude that the narrative of the patriarchs must date from a later time. Recent finds have seemingly verified this claim. However, the story is much more complex, and there is indeed evidence that can show that there were domesticated camels in the Levant during the Middle Bronze Age, the age of the patriarchs. In 2013, Dr. Erez Ben Yosef and Dr. Lidar Sapir-Chen of Tel Aviv University published a paper that generated a good deal of media attention. They claimed that based on faunal remains found at the Iron Age site of Timna and Wadi Feinan, that dromedary camels didn't make an appearance as a pack animal in the Arava Valley until the later third of the 10th century BCE. This article received much press as having proven that domesticated camels did not appear in the southern Levant until the 10th century BCE. Earlier camel remains have been found at several sites dating from the Neolithic period to the Iron Age, but complete specimens and precise dating have been elusive. According to the consensus, these camels were most likely wild. The evidence presented is solid for the Arava Valley, but the sweeping ramifications for the entire southern Levant seems just a bit too far in my opinion. Can a theory based on a few scant remains that can be accurately tested really set the benchmark for the entire history of the southern Levant? What if the other questionable remains studied from what was believed to be the Neolithic to the Iron Age period were indeed dated correctly? It seems from existing evidence that using dromedary camels as pack animals in the Arabian Peninsula happened only in the beginning third of the first millennium BCE. If that is the case, then the Arava Valley camels represent the first such evidence of domestication of dromedary camels. They did not arrive from Arabia. This is at odds with the previously held notion that camels were first domesticated in southern Arabia sometime between 2500 BCE and 1500 BCE. The opinion that there weren't camels in the southern Levant prior to the 1100s is not new. According to William Foxwell Albright, any mention of camels during the period of the patriarchs is a blatant anachronism, the product of later priestly tampering with the earlier text in order to bring them more in line with altered social conditions. Albright maintains that people living during the time of Abraham herded sheep, goats, and donkeys, but not camels. He posits that camels had not yet been domesticated and did not really enter the realm of biblical life until after 1100 to 1000 BCE, with the coming of the camel-riding Midianites. Albright based his assumption on the scant archaeological data that indicated the wide use of camels prior to 1100 BCE. Although his basic contention that use of camels was widespread after 1100 BCE is quite accurate, his inference that they were not domesticated in earlier times is not. So where is this evidence that domesticated camels can predate the 10th century? In a Biblical Archaeological Review article from November of 2018, Dr. Mark Chavalis, professor of history at the University of Wisconsin in La Crosse, makes the argument that indeed Abraham could have had a domesticated camel. He doesn't take any issue with the findings of Sapir-Chen and Ben Yosef. Rather, he takes issue with the sweeping assumption that Abraham couldn't have owned a camel. Abraham was, as the Bible states, from Mesopotamia, not from Canaan. Chavalis points to a strong but sparse archaeological, epigraphic, and lexical evidence of domesticated camels in the area of Mesopotamia prior to 2500 BCE. These camels were most likely the Bactrian variety, not the dromedary, but that cannot be ruled out. He concludes that the paltry evidence of camels doesn't point to their rarity, but rather to their prestige. The mentioning of camels in the biblical narrative highlights the great wealth of the patriarchs. This is also the conclusion of Dr. Richard W. Boulier, Professor Emeritus of History at Columbia University and author of the book The Camel and the Wheel. In the book, he mentions that there is no reason to doubt Albright's contention that the domestication of camels became prevalent in the Syrian and North Arabian deserts only in 1100 BCE. However, based on sparse but solid evidence, we are forced to say that the domestication of the camel in the Levant took place long before that time. Boulier deals with the paucity of evidence by positing that the people of the Levant did not engage in the breeding and herding of camels, but that the few that were there seemed to be status symbols. The patriarchal camels, according to Boulier, are not anachronistic, but rather an expression of wealth of the patriarchs. The view of the scholars just shared show that it is really beyond the evidence to claim that the camels of Abraham are anachronistic. Rather, the evidence currently held should suggest that ownership of camels was a rare occurrence in the Levant prior to the 11th century BCE, and that they were owned only by the wealthy as a status symbol. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe. You can check me out on my other social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and of course YouTube. And if you wish to retain my services as a tour guide here in the land of Israel, please check me out at www.masoratravel.com.